Hi, I am Jai. I love drawing, measuring, and finding out about all sorts of things. Today it's angles and triangles. First, I'm going to draw an angle of 30 degrees. There we go. Now I shall draw a line to make a right-angled triangle. I measured the line opposite my angle. It measures 3 centimeters in this triangle. I measured the line opposite the right angle. I know that is the hypotenuse. It measures 6 centimeters in this triangle. The ratio of the opposite to the hypotenuse is 3 to 6 or 1 to 2. I know that is 1/2 or 0.5. I'll write that down. Now I have drawn a big triangle, but it also has a 30-degree angle. The opposite side measures 10 centimeters. The hypotenuse measures 20 centimeters. The ratio then is 10 to 20, or 1 to 2. That means it is still 1/2 or 0.5. That's the same as the last 30-degree angle in the little triangle. I have measured lots of triangles, all with a 30-degree angle. The ratio is always the same, 1/2 or 0.5. Let's see now if all 60-degree angles will be the same. Amazing! Every time I measure the opposite side and the hypotenuse, the ratio is always the same. For 60 degrees, the ratio is always 0.866. I've done this for every single angle. I have worked out every ratio and written it in my book. I am exhausted.
Great. But so far you have only measured the side opposite the angle and the hypotenuse. You have worked out a ratio called the sine of the angle. We write that as sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. There is another side to measure.
Ah, yes. There is another side here beside the angle or adjacent to it. I'll measure it as well as the hypotenuse. I'll use the angle 30 degrees again and see if the ratio is different. Every time I measure the adjacent side and the hypotenuse, I get the same ratio for the 30-degree angle, no matter how big the triangle. Now on I go to do all the other angles.
Hold it right there. Someone has already worked this all out for you. They call it the cosine of the angle. They have already worked out the ratio of adjacent side to hypotenuse for every angle.
Well, I bet they never thought of this. I'm going to work out the ratio of the opposite side and the adjacent side. This time, when I divide the length of the opposite side by the length of the adjacent side and work out the ratio in a 30-degree triangle, I always get 0.577.
Stop again. Yes, this has also been done a long time ago. This ratio is called the tangent of the angle, opposite divided by adjacent. I told you. Someone worked all these out for you many years ago. They printed them all in a book. Now they have put it all in a calculator for you. Sine is written as sin. Cosine is written as cos. Tangent is shortened to tan. The ratios for all of the angles are there at the touch of a button. Remember, we called it sine when we were measuring the opposite side and the hypotenuse. Sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. Remember, we called it cosine when we were measuring the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Remember, we called it tangent when we were measuring the opposite side and the adjacent. Tangent equals opposite divided by adjacent. This might help you to remember.
So that was all about ratios. What shall I measure next?